Hello and welcome to another edition of the RotorHub International Podcast. That's hosted by me, Gideon Ewers. I'm the editor of RotorHub International. Now, this particular episode is recorded at Aerial Firefighting Global here in Rome. And it's been an incredible event so far. We're just halfway through the second day. There's still plenty to go. But for me, yesterday, the standout presentation came yesterday morning from Ruben García from Avincis. And, you know, Ruben, it's this, you produced this remarkable document. I have a copy here, Up in Flames. It has kind of a dramatic thing, Up in Flames, the challenges of fighting wildfires from the air in a hotter Europe. But it contains some pretty scary stuff, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Gideon, for counting on me. Well, we try to explain everyone what we are already experiencing on the ground. I mean, when we produce something based on actual facts and just explaining to everyone, not just are the problem, but also what could be the solutions. I think it's not just a warning report, it's also a completely roadmap about what we can do and the industry can do in order to try to fix this dramatic situation, which is something that is not going to disappear. Will continue, even will get worse and worse.
I mean, that's the thing. Some of the numbers are extraordinary. One of the things that really stood out to me in your presentation yesterday is if we take a block of the last, I think it was 3 years, and compare it with the previous block of 3 years, the rate of increase is extraordinary. I think the number 45% sticks in my head.
Correct, but not just compared with the last 3 years. Compared from 2014, I mean, in the last 3 years, the amount of land that has been burned has been completely dramatic versus the last 10 years, I would say. So 46% has been just accounted in that period of 3 years. So the situation is terrible.
I mean, it is extraordinary. I mean, some of the things that I wrote down in my notes, you know, from yesterday, that were really quite, you know, earth-shattering, I think is the way. It's the idea of saying this is not an anomaly.
Correct.
This is the new normal. Yeah. That was a standout message for me, and I guess that's the point. Really, the driving point of the document is to try and get, I guess, ultimately the political masters, for they hold the purse strings ultimately, to recognize the scale of the problem and the threat. Actually, yeah. You know, it's a I think you call it a strategic threat.
Yeah, you know, this warning is coming. The first one from our crews. Every time they are acting in a fire, I used to have a debriefing with them. And the message I'm receiving from many years ago is, Ruben, this is nothing extraordinary. What we are seeing every day that we are flying, is something that is going worse and is happening every flight that we are flying. I mean, the new type of fires, nothing can compare with that. I mean, it's a different type of fires. The behavior of the fire and how the fire are evolving is completely different than the past. So we are not talking about doing the same type of operation, and we need to do things differently. Otherwise, we will get the same results.
Sure. And when you talk about a different kind of fire, is that in terms of actual temperature, intensity, speed of the fire, the propagation, things like that?
One of the things that we highlighted yesterday was what we call the fire triangle. There is a combination of three factors. The heat is one of the factors that Europe is warning at nearly the double of the global average, is 2.2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level, while the other part of the world is increasing 1.26. The second one is the humidity level, that there is a deepening throat translating into faster ignition, faster spread and higher intensity fires. And the third one is the fuel load. I mean, the fact that since 40 years ago, the population has left significant, huge amount of land, totally unmanaged, is creating highly flammable vegetation. And this clearly is increasing the risk of the wildfires. We also need to consider that everything is increasing by the wind velocity that is getting even worse every year. So those problems are structural and they are not going away. So they will be continuing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when we think about things like you mentioned the wind velocity, and that's a little bit of function of the greater heat. You know, when I'm thinking of convection breezes coming, you know, and fanning flames coming in off the sea, and those elements, those things beloved of sailors like me, the sea breeze is filling in, but that's going to have an impact too.
Sure.
And also, you mentioned just now the move of people away from rural areas towards more urban areas, and the lack of management of the land.
Yeah.
But I guess also that means there are more people interacting. The wild land versus urban interface is a bigger stretch,
Yeah.
and so the fiscal cost and potential life threat is greater as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even what we are proposing to the public administration is to increase the utilization of the asset during winter, during off-season period, although the off-season is being also reduced, in order to maintain those land that has been without people during many years. And one of the things that we are proposing is to use the helicopter in order to move the fire brigades there during winter to clean the areas in order to reduce the risk of the wildfires. This is something that we are proposing to the customers.
Yeah, I guess it's it is that thing. If you, especially, I suppose there are those. Although we've talked about, we touched on just now, the seasons are changing as well. That's the other factor that's happening. You know, where it used to be a thing where there was a northern hemisphere season and a southern hemisphere season, assets could be moved around. Those things are eroding. But even so, there's still times of the year where activity levels for fire crews are much lower, and it does make a lot of sense when you said to utilize that resource to think about things like land management during the off season.
That's the point. I mean, the fact that we use the aerial asset during the entire year is not just be focused on reacting to the fires, is to prevent the fires. And even it's something that is more important to prevent the fires, to invest more in preventing the fires than react to the fires. Because when we need to react to the fires, then the fire is already there.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's nothing to do, just a part of dropping water and trying to mitigate. So the risk of the life of the people are already there when there is a fire, even because the power and the extreme of that fires, as you said, the population is getting more in risk because we are attacking the fire nearly proximity to the cities and the population. This is something which is put in risk. What we said in Palisades in California.
Oh yeah,
this is something that how many houses were destroyed?
Thousands
and
thousands.
People that are on risk their life. So we need to prevent and invest much more in prevention than in reaction. And Europe, at least, has not been applying and considering this since a long time.
I guess that's the problem. It's a tough sell, isn't it, to talk about funding to prevent something from happening. You know, that I suppose it is a piece of the human condition, certainly among politicians, that they tend to react rather than behave proactively and see that there is financial benefit in carrying out funding activities that are in the longer term going to save a great deal of money and risks to life and limb.
I mean, the firefighting campaign are getting longer and overlapping. I mean, in the past, we used to move aircraft between continents. I mean, we used to move aircraft from Spain to Chile, and this is something that is a good formula, no? To take advantage of the asset. However, this is getting more difficult because the firefighting campaign is getting longer and they are overlapping. So every continent is trying to secure their own assets, which means that there will be more asset needs in order to do exactly the same, because it's impossible to move aircraft with the season that we are having and how the climate is evolving. So it's really difficult, and it's something that we need to secure. And also the fire are spreading into regions that has no experience into firefighting activities, or even has no aerial medias to attack the fire. So it's something also that will increase the requirement for further and additional aircraft into different countries, which means that we need to put more assets into the operation.
For sure. I mean, traditionally, when you think about the European wildfire landscape, you traditionally think of Portugal, you think of Spain, you think of Italy, you think of Greece or Croatia. And increasingly, that event horizon is moving north. And even I recall last summer seeing aerial firefighting operations in Scotland. And of course, we've seen it in parts of extremely northern Europe, in Scandinavia, in Norway and Sweden, where they have significant fire events. And as you've said, very little experience already in countries. So I guess what's really needed is thinking maybe about a pan-European response.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the capacity can't be treated anymore as a pure national or regional. It must be European. I mean, the fact that the northward expansion of the risk is getting to countries that historically represented less than 1% of the bar area are now experiencing record season. Sweden, Finland, Denmark, all of those countries hit their historical average last year. So even there was an anecdote. 2 years ago, I received a call from my colleague from Norway saying, "Ruben, do you have some firefighting helicopter that you can deploy?" I thought it was a joke, to be honest. Norway, everyone is thinking, no, it's not needed. Yeah. But that's the reality. I mean, and it was 2 years ago, but last year happened the same. And not only Norway, all the countries that are in the north area, they are getting experiencing for higher intensity risk.
And just correct me if I've got this wrong, but another standout thing from your presentation yesterday was you were talking about the seasonality and moving out of season. The fires in northern part of Spain and in Spain and northern part of Portugal last year. Actually, coincidentally, when I was down visiting your headquarters, mm-hmm. There wasn't anything to do with me, I promise. The area burned in that fire was equivalent to the entire landmass of Luxembourg and Malta combined.
Luxembourg and Malta combined. It's significant, but it's not a surprise. I mean, what we are seeing in the last year, it was a message. I mean, we knew that this is going to happen again. If we are not investing in prevention, will continue happening in the coming years. So what we need is to be focused in trying to mitigate and improve. And the roadmap that we propose is something that can support. But definitely Europe has to take place, has to take decision, has to take a higher role in how we are managing, and cannot continue being just managed by national and the regional governments. Need to be escalated into the European.
Ruben, thanks for that. There we have it, folks. It's become a continental, a European question. It requires a European solution. I would say, the challenge is, of course, putting it to our political masters and getting them to understand, read the document that may action them. They may, of course, be politicians and be content to sit back and fiddle while, like Emperor Nero, not while Rome burns, but while all of Europe burns. But in the meantime, if you want to get a copy of this document, and if you are at all interested in the environment in Europe, I urge you to do it and pass it on to your political representatives at national level as well, because this is an initiative that has to come from there. There is a QR code, and you can find it on the M piece of the podcast. But for now, Ruben García, thank you very much for your time and your insight.
It was a pleasure. I mean, as I said before, we tried to produce this report based on actual fact. I don't know if it was coincident, but just 2 hours after we completed the conference and present and introduce the report, the European Union has announced a set of package with initiatives to try to mitigate some of the risks and of the issues that we raise in our report. So that's good to see
great.
that.
It's great.
Europe is moving.
Maybe they had a spy
Probably.
in the conference room ignoring the Chatham House rules. But it's a good thing. And let's hope they follow through on initiatives and convert those initiatives into real actions.
Actions, correct.
Yeah. Once again, Ruben, thank you very much.
Welcome.
That has been another episode of the RotorHub International Podcast. Join us again next time when we'll be talking about things to do with vertical lift. In the meantime, from Rome, fly safe and keep the blue side up.